every week with her hard riding, straight shooting, and suspense.
Here's something interesting I thought some of you might want to see. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit, still have it clear. I've been changing all the bad resistors out. I've got, quite a handful here of really junk crap looking stuff. I mean, it's really bad. Some of it measured okay, but some of it did not, and I'm not done yet, but I wanted you to see something. When you do your checks of any chassis, I don't care if it's a radio, TV, whatever it may be, always look for the hand of man. The hand of man has been in this chassis. And you'll recall that this resistor right here was the one that was totally fried. I mean, totally burned out of this thing. And I've replaced it. But in that same area, I've run into the hand of man. Look at this wire right here. And it's been soldered up right here to this connector. And the insulation, it's been overheated, and the insulation is peeled away from the wire right there. And I hope you can make that out. So right away I have to take a look at that. I can't leave that like that. In good conscience, it wouldn't allow me to do it. So when you come over, now most people say, well, it looks okay. We'll just leave it the way it is. We're not going to mess with it. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Go up there and check it, and look what I've got. Look what you're going to love this. Look at here. It's not even soldered. It's just wrapped around the lead of this 1K resistor. It is now soldered up properly. I skinned back the insulation and wrapped it through this little, there's an eyelet here, a terminal right here. I put it through there and soldered it properly. I guess about the only good thing about this whole thing was that it did in fact get soldered to that right there. So it was connected to the right place. It was just never soldered in place. Quick story, one time I heard about a fella got a television like this, found basically the same thing, a wire that had never been soldered at the factory, not one that had been messed with by some service tech or somebody, but at the factory they forgot to solder a wire to a terminal, and the TV probably never worked right. It was one of those deals where you had to bang on the top of the TV back in the 60s. I don't know if you remember that, the 50s and 60s. We often had to bang on the top of a TV to get the picture to come in. And a lot of those times it was just a wire that had never been soldered. So if you young folks out there, compared to what we had back in the 50s and 60s, y'all got it made. At least you don't have to beat your TVs half to death to get the picture to come in. I know some of you old folks remember that.
What you got here?
Chicken and dumplings and blueberry pie. Homemade.
That sister of yours make it?
She sure did, boy. Annie's the best cook in the whole world.
I hear she's pretty good with a 6-gun, too.
Nobody's ever outshot her yet, and a lot of fellas have tried.
Good shot. Good cook. Some kid, when I get out of here, I think I'll marry her.
A lot of fellas have tried that, too.
What you're looking at is a box of tubes for this TV. Just arrived about a day or two ago from my tube supply man, Gino, out in Amarillo, Texas. I always get my tubes from him. He's more than reasonable. I did a YouTube video on Gino, and his real name is Gene Kidd, K-I-D-D. And I told you once before that his tubes were extremely reasonable. He guarantees them. He tests them all. And if you have a problem of any kind, he'll take care of you. And he sells for less than any other vendor. That's almost guaranteed, unless it's a super rare tube and it's very difficult for him to get a hold of. That's just common sense there. Anyway, it's a complete set of tubes. I got it for what I consider to be giveaway prices, and I'm going to take them out of the box and I'm going to clean all the pins on the bottom of the tube. Many of them are NOS, some of them are good tested used tubes. But, it doesn't hurt to do a double check. I'm going to make sure all the little pins are nice and clean, spiffy looking, and probably run them across my tester as well. And just to double check, because I don't want to have any problems. And I'm sure they're good. I've never had a bad tube from Gino one time, but it doesn't hurt, and he'll tell you himself to double check. Alright, there they are. What I'm going to do is basically open up each tube and just take this old brass bristle brush right here and just give each one of those old tube bins a good scrubbing, because over the years tubes do have a tendency to get an oxidized coating on them, and it doesn't hurt to give them a good cleaning. The 6CB6 is a miniature tube, and we've got the filament voltage set for 6.3 volts because down here on the roll chart it says the 6CB6 filament, which is setting A, right there, is 6.3 volts. Then setting B is 4, which is the bias. We'll come over here and we'll set the bias. It's kind of interesting that the indicator right here is that slot in that screw head. Sort of looks like a screw head. It's probably not a screw head, but it's very durable. There it is. We'll set that at 4. And then the next thing we have to do is set our element switches here. And it is 53214. 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 6700. 6, 7, 0, 0. 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 6, 7, 0, 0. That's good. Then it says to set knob C at 3. No, 6 to be 6. It's at knob C at 5 and knob D at 3. Okay, C at 5, which is the plate voltage, and the range switch goes down now to 3. Now we should get, when we pull this value lever down, first we're going to run it through its little paces. We're going to check the heater to cathode, short, grid 1 to plate, grid 2, grid 3, and we're going to look for any shorts on the meter. We're just going to go from one position to the other and tap the tube in between. Okay, so it's on the heater to cathode. We show nothing. Good. I'm just tapping it with a pen like that. That's good. That's good. We're looking for deflection on the meter. Nothing yet. And G3. That's good. Now we go back to the value position, and we're going to pull this knob down to value. Then we're going to find out if this thing will read from 5.2 to 8.0. 5.2 to 8.0. Here we go. Oh wow. Way up there. Excellent tube. Excellent tube. Almost at 7. Well, we're about 650. Very good. 6.5. Well, that's what we're going to do to the rest of these tubes. Now, some of these tubes I cannot test because my tube tester is not designed for it. They're the big high voltage, high power types. And but the rest will all be tested. I'll be spending the next at least an hour fiddle farting around here to make sure everything's righteous.
All right, Carter, come out with your hands up.
Sure, Miss Annie. Sure. Well, I guess you win, Miss Annie. We got him, Annie.
How's the pie loft?
Terrific, Annie. Terrific and delicious. You know something? I don't see how a girl as pretty as you are can be such a wonderful cook.
Careful, son. The last man who made that remark got nowhere.